So the majority of the panel is English speaking, so I will handle that in English language. I hope that's okay. So the video before this panel, I think it was a very great introduction to what we'll discuss here. We saw that the operational satellites, while we go, and also the IOV, they are not so far between them, okay? We have some different applications, we have different maturity in the system, subsystems, but everyone is trying to contribute to the same goals. We try to solve needs, user needs. We try to push technology. We want innovation. We know the localization of new activities in order to maximize the benefits that the Greek ecosystem, but also the European community is gaining through our efforts. So I try to prepare some questions that can be handled in a different perspective by the attendees of this panel. And as you see, we combine people from ESA. Svein is managing the operational satellites, the Earth observation component from our program, the ones that I presented, and the other representatives, Planetek, OQ, and also from university, Professor Lappas, are working on the IOVs. So I will go forward towards the first question, and I will start from the companies, from the IOVs, and then Svein will try to make a synthesis from his perspective. So the first question has the theme called From Space to Operational. And what I mean with that is that in this panel, generally speaking, we often celebrate launching satellites. But I mean, from the user perspective, that's not enough. The user does not care about space technology, does not care about spacecraft. So Stelios, and the same question will apply to everyone in this panel. What concrete services your mission brings on the table and you deliver that you think currently or in the future it can solve public needs, and what you are currently developing that's not present in the market? What is your innovation and how you would like to capitalize on the experience you gained these 2 years? So please.
Thank you very much, Dimitri. On your specific question, we embarked on this opportunity that was provided to us by the Ministry, of course, in collaboration with ESA. What we try to do in Optisat is to bring to the users a way to securely communicate between space and ground. Well, everybody, or at least those that know me, they know that I'm not an expert in communications, but in this specific case, the ability to be able to communicate with a secure link that is provided by the laser terminals that we host on board on Optisat is the potential future final service to the user. And you can imagine this, how important it is for users coming from the civil protection, from the security, from definitely defense. And this is the first thing that I'd like to mention. The second thing is that I'm very, very happy about this opportunity and all the know-how and capacity that was built in our office here in Athens. I see Dimitris, I see Kostas here, who were the persons that were the driving force between this activity. And this is maybe the most important thing of this program, the capacity that was built within our teams, for which I'm grateful to the Ministry and very much grateful to ESA, of course, for the support that was provided to us under the lead of Frederick throughout this period.
Omar, what about you? OQ has launched many satellites, but what you have gained through this IOV and what needs you think you will solve in the future?
Yeah, I think if we're talking about services, I see on the IT side, narrowband communication for devices in sectors like in agriculture, logistics, and maritime, smart cities, but also government and defense. This is an important service that we can capitalize on, especially if you have, you need low power, low cost, and standardized connectivity using existing devices and modules. You don't want to invent new chips or new models, but you have already billions of devices out there that you can connect to. So that's one thing. The other thing is regarding emergency communication, as I said, with the D2D, direct to device, whether that to smartphones, and finally also text and voice communication. These are the main 4 types of services that I think are necessary and what the future can bring in terms of satellite communication specifically.
What about you, Vai? I mean, you're an academic, you work in the university, but you have extensive experience also in the industry and other activities. What is your take and how you plan your activities and with the experience you gain to capitalize and use it for the public good and solve of user needs?
Well, thank you for the invitation. Again, services were very central in how we designed the ERMIS constellation. We have a combination of communication, but also Earth observation platforms. So Omar mentioned in a very detailed manner the secure telecommunication services. They already have an excess of 10 nanosatellites where you could start to already offer pilot services, communication services for UAVs, sovereign services. For Earth observation, our selection of our hyperspectral imager with 30 bands at 5-meter ground sampling distance was a key parameter so we can offer unique data for Greece, but also in Europe. We also have invested on data centers, on image interpretation. We have academics and Assistant Professor Dr. Kollios and his team here, where we're developing data products. We're also working with industry, for example, with Svein. We've worked with ISI on the other access programs of how we can combine hyperspectral, multispectral with SAR, but also with Aurora Tech with infrared. So something which is very important is we've been involved as a university with 14 out of 24 satellites that were built, which means we had services, you know, as a cornerstone in our proposals and our engineering.
Great. And coming to Svein, some of the companies participating in our operational work, like the Stelios and also Vaios, they are also part of the operational satellites, and not only contribute to the IOVs, but also the operational. And generally, as you're managing the project, how do you see the involvement and how we perceive and how we try to solve user needs by using you as a vehicle to help us on that? What is your experience through this very long work that you have done the last years?
Well, first of all, thank you for having us here. I think we are and we're in a unique situation that our satellite demand, as we defined it at the time, was based on user needs. So you came to us with a defined set of needs which you wanted to satisfy with our satellites. We need the satellites. We have defined and 13 and launched most of them. And we, at the base of this project, Dominique took it over in September, I took the job in December, and we looked at all these things, what we needed to do. So our baseline was the 5 thematic services with the governmental hub, which Planetek is building for us. So what do we need these satellites for? So we defined the services. I think we have 17 sub-services and 73 processes. And by the way, we have your satellites, Copernicus Sentinel-1, Sentinel-2, PlanetScope data, and other satellites feeding into the hub, into the services to develop user-defined applications and products. We have water, which is water quality, water quantity, aquaculture, flood delineation, coastline delineation. We have forest management, which is basically the forest type, the forest fuel map, which is very important for wildfires. We have dedicated wildfire services with Aurora Tech satellites, but also ISI satellites for wildfire detection, for burn scars, and all these things for the wildfires. We have flood monitoring, which means first responders have direct access to this data and can basically deploy and evacuate using our data. We have on the land service, you have land use, land cover. What is the land being used for? How is the land covered? And what kind of coverage is that over the land? We have land deformation. So we are looking at landslides. We are looking at all different things with land. So, so we have water, we have land, we have forest, and we have safety and security also with Planetek. That's basically civil protection. But we also have ship detection, we have target monitoring, we have civil protection for the as I mentioned, for the wildfires and flooding. And in addition, we have the agriculture application, which is for agri-apps, which are looking at the agriculture monitoring service, which is supporting all the farmers and the ministries in managing and cultivating the land and making optimum use of it. And I think the key to all this is that, first of all, you came to us and asked us, build these services for us, and we want satellites as well. But you showed the 2 slides here earlier of the Greek team and the ESA team, and what is key to our success together is that we are one team. We could never have done this without the Hellenic Space Center and the ministry. We don't know the ecosystem. We can build satellites. We have all the services which are being built by the 5 thematic services providers and the hub, and that's 100% Greek. That means nobody else outside Greece have been part of building these services. That's local. We don't know the local ecosystem the way you and the ministry know the system, and we don't know exactly what is needed. You have defined the tasking team here, which can task our satellites, your satellites directly for wildfire. They can sit and task the satellites via Aurora Tech and get the data back when they need it and for the area they need. So the team playing, which we have had together with yourselves, ourselves, and all industries involved, is unique. And that is the key to the success we have had. And it was based on the services being the first definition of the requirement. What do we need, and why do we need it, and for whom?
So it was designed, was by design, the answer. So we tried to build something that was designed to tackle the user needs. I think that's how we succeeded.
Absolutely.
Great. Going to the more challenging questions and difficult ones. So we see that many national programs are currently designed and implemented, but it goes without saying that no modern space program can succeed through governmental funds alone. There has to be a balance between the investment of the industry and also the investment of the government and also ESA, industry, and universities. So according to your opinion, experience, and what you have seen until now, what do you think is the correct balance or the ideal balance, not only in terms of funding, but also in terms of a business model that you see it's more viable? I will start from Professor Lappas, if you want to elaborate.
I think we soon will see in Greece, and probably we've already started to see this, a lot of startup companies, a lot of new ideas becoming much more commercial. We're seeing already a lot of companies proposing and starting to offer services. We also see a lot of companies from other parts of Europe coming to Greece because they recognize that this is the right environment to invest in space. But I think it's very important, and it was really, really cool and great to see our government keep sustainable investment into space and defense. Because space is a dual-use technology. We saw last week that the Prime Minister announced Greece in Orbit 2 with a 350 million investment. And this is going to help us with respect to sustainability. So we started, and when some of us wrote the very first national space program, the small satellite program with 200 million, we had in mind these kind of capabilities, these kind of results. But you still need to make it sustainable. So it needs to be a combination of government, but also private investment. I think Vasilis's statement from last week from ISI, where they're preparing a high throughput, plant in Greece. The fact that other entities, I think around the panel, but also elsewhere, are thinking of doing similar investments in Greece speaks a lot for what has been achieved and what will happen in the future. So I'm very positive. I think there's a lot that is going to happen in Greece in this with commercial uptake.
What about you, Omar?
I think having, of course, the government and the companies working together towards scalability of space is important. But one important part also, as Vaios also mentioned, is having private investment, like the venture capitals. I mean, we have had the experience to have the investment from 5G Ventures, which actually anchored us plus another space company into Greece and invest into the capability, talent, and scaling up. But we still see that there is a lot of private investors and VCs are risk averse. And this is something which is an important piece of scalability together with the government, because if you look at what's happening on the other side of the Atlantic, there is a huge appetite for risk and investment in space. And to be honest, for me, this is the most investment capable and attractive sector. I mean, look at SpaceX IPO, the multi-trillion-dollar IPO, the biggest IPO in history. It did not come from a pharmaceutical company. It did not come from e-commerce. It came from space. So this should be a signal that VCs in Europe should invest to scale up. There's a lot of funding for R&D and early stage, but not much for scaling up. And this is a gap in Europe because companies will end up, if they don't find scale-up funding, leaving to the US. So I think this is a very important piece that need to be addressed, and hopefully we see more progress towards improving that.
Stelios, what's your take, and also combining that with the recent deorbit, collaboration with Planetek? What's your opinion on that?
Well, let me say, without exposing my age, that when I started in the domain, I had no white hair. But we didn't always have the chance to have our government and our country confirm space as one of the 5 strategic elements of national sovereignty. So combined with air, land, marine, and cyberspace has been confirmed from the Greek government as one strategic domain. And this has led to this very important investment, because without the national investment, the state's investment, it's not there what is called for the industry the anchor tenant. And there lies the balance in the equilibrium that the question was about. These national investments should be seen from the industry as the so-called anchor tenants. The state solves a national problem or tackles a domain that considers strategic, and the industry grabs this opportunity in order for the establishment within the national borders. But the objective is not to be able to sustain itself only from this investment, from this national investment. The objective is to become competitive in the wider market, because space and satellites go all around the Earth, not only the area of Greece, and not only the areas where Greece has interest throughout the world. Satellites go all around the globe and provide to the industry a tool in which they can reach wider markets, of course global ones, but it's clear the opportunity in Europe. Europe is continuously increasing the positioning in space, in the space market, in the space domain, and there is where it lies in a big opportunity for the national companies that have been established recently, but also the Greek older companies in this domain. So the equilibrium is to find the percentage of these activities that help the national companies here in Greece be established with an anchor, with a national state anchor, but at the same time concentrate on the wider European market where the opportunities lie, concentrate on how these companies will become even more competitive at the European landscape competition area, and increase their positioning in the market.
Great. So Svein, as is, you're implementing a great majority of the national programs, so you have seen different business models, different, suggestions what the other member states are doing, and you have gained some important experience on that matter. So according to your experience and opinion, where lies this balance, where the funding from the government should stop and the self-investment of a company could start, all this could be combined? What is your take and opinion on that?
Well, this is also a very complex question in the sense that there's so many stakeholders and so many players. So I will try and make 2 simple lines of thought. Your university, company, in industry, ESA, line of thought, I think is missing one element. University, we need R&D. We have research institutes, we have FORTH, we have NOAA, we have all the research institutes which needs to do R&D, and that is not sustainable without governmental funding. R&D can be put into a company. You can create companies based on the product or a service or whatever, and make that commercialization, and start selling on the open market. ESA function as a mediator, financial mediator between the member state needs and the wishes and the requirements of the national industries. So we can help in facilitating, like we are doing with you, in bringing research, development, commercialization into the market. But we are not an end customer for whatever we are building with you. You need an anchor tenant. You need, like Stelios is saying, somebody to take over and buy these products from you. If you build space hardware, you need LSIs or primes in Greece to start feeding in from the Greek suppliers into their chain. Like I know it's happening and companies, the primes who are here mentioned that they are feeding in. That means we have created something with companies in Greece, and the prime contractors, hopefully also outside Greece in the near future, will use what we have invested and developed in Greece. And for the services which we have developed with you, that these services can be sold on the international market because the services as such take data over a region, process, and you produce the products. We are doing it for Greece, but there's nothing stopping these players of doing the same and selling this globally, their service of data taken over any other peaceful country. That was the first line of thought. And the second line of thought is the commercial model which we have developed, or you have developed in the Hellenic Space Center and the Ministry with our project, which I think is unique in Europe. You have done a fantastic job. It's incredible what you have been doing in terms of negotiating deals with the prime contractors, in terms of the data they get from your satellites, and the access you have to their constellations over Greece, but also in exchange outside Greece, for them being able to use your satellites outside Greece. And I will not go into detail because that's between you and them, but what you have created there is a commercial hub which you can use for bartering with any other European country, in the sense of building constellations, building European partnerships, and helping the companies which we have established in Greece and which we have brought further in Greece for the services, to prosper outside Greece also. You have laid a fantastic foundation for that, and I think this is unique, and you have done a great job. So on these two pillars, anchor tenants, making commercial sense of what you are doing, and making partnership with industry to exploit it also outside Greece is a great thing you have done.
Thank you. So it's a combination of different, aspects, and the level of maturity will dictate what is ideal, let's say, balance. It's very difficult to find it. I don't think there is a simple equation to do that. Going to the last question, and I will give 1 minute to each of one. I want you to be very straight on that, as it is a question that's very important. Let's see a little bit the vision. And this conference happens every year, but let's imagine that we meet again in 5 years, and we're the same people here and also in the auditorium. What would success mean for the Greek space ecosystem after 5 years? I mean, the new program, the 305 million euros, will finish again. So what you would like to have as a reality after 5 years? And please, in one minute, try to be very precise on what you'd like to see. And I will start from Stelios.
So, very fast. It should be twofold. On one side, I would like to see the services, the user-driven services that were designed in this approach, to be adopted by the public administration at most. And for this, some actions need to take place. We built the train and the rails. Now we need, and the main stop, which is the ministry. Now we need to build the train stops within each region, within each city, within each public administration throughout the Greece. And for this, an investment is still needed. The second one, definitely anyone from the industry would like it. We have a 50% objective in the second phase. In 10 years from now, I need, of course, 100% being built in Greece.
Omar?
Yeah, for me, more than 100 satellites manufactured and operated in Greece, and offering IoT and direct-to-device communication.
What about you?
Thank you. My vision as an academic is a little bit more ambitious. I would like to see a company like OQ become something like Starlink and SpaceX in 10 years with a massive IPO, maybe close to 1 trillion if possible. They are the only European alternative to Starlink right now. So we can build up and expand on that. They're already in Greece. With Earth observation and services, we should be aiming and pitching high, creating some European champions coming from Greece. We've shown we can do a lot in 2 or 3 years, so we should try to be a little bit more ambitious and try to create actors. And we should start to create an ecosystem in Greece that can be bold, that can be part of the European Union value chain. Last, I would like to speak about European sovereignty. I think with respect to Eastern Europe, we should not be chasing the US and others, but we should bring our own bold agenda ahead. We should focus on our strong points, fix the weak ones, space transportation, and try to get the position which Europe and Greece deserve.
It's a great answer. So Svein, you're not a Greek, but you have spent many of your months in Greece these last 2 years, so you can also share your vision about Greece and how you see us in the next 5 years.
I'm very grateful that you adopted me as an honorary Greek, so thank you very much. I think I have to fall back on Dominique's comparison with the rocket. We are going to now build the second stage with 350 million, and then we have to launch the payload, which is basically take it off from there and into space. And what we need is, what I would like to see in 5 years, 10 years, is that what we have invested in, solidified in terms of infrastructure in Greece, is up and running and being sold commercially globally. Not only Europe, but also outside Europe. People will come to the HAI facility and test. They will come to the facilities which we are building here for satellite integration and build hundreds of satellites in Greece. That's utilizing and expanding the infrastructure. Secondly, I think we have to look at inside at our system. For the ecosystem which we have built around the hub and the services and the satellites, we need to expand on the services which we have built. We need to integrate more into a node in Greece to actually make it a hub for all of Greece users, not only Earth observation, but also other users. And secondly, or thirdly, we would have to be able, with your role as a delegate, you and Konstantinos as delegates in ESA, to discuss with other member states how to facilitate and to bring your operational capabilities into a federated network in Europe. And I think you're in a very, very good position of doing that because you have all hands free. You are tied down by nobody than yourselves, and working with ESA and your European colleagues in the European Space Agency to federate what you have with what they are doing and making it a European operational capability. That's what I would like to see.
Great insights. We have 1 minute, so I will also say my personal take. I believe that in 5 years from now, we should all of us together, we should aim into a self-sustainable commercial program where what we are building these last 6 years with the approximate budget of $500 million, it will be able to fund, at least in a great percentage, the continuation of the program. What we build here should be self-sustainable. It should be of commercial interest to the other countries, to the other entities. I think we should adapt a more B2B or aggressive B2G model. So, of course, I think it was said also before, our plan for Greece is not to become the host of all the primes, but I think we can be competitive in fixing part of some system or subsystems that are uniquely developed in Greece and can be exported in a very competitive environment. So for me, if we're sitting here in the same place after 5 years, I would like to see success stories of the future or current program bringing back money that can self-fund the continuation of another program that, let's hope, all will be above 350 million euros. So thank you all very much, and an applause to the panelists.